If the Democrats win a Senate majority, even by one vote, can they then simply install two new states?
So they can. Adding a state does not take a constitutional amendment. It takes simple legislation.
Of a bare majority, of a majority of one.
Yeah. Well, to do it, they would have to end the Senate filibuster, which I believe they would. So if the Democrats win in November, if we wake up and we've got Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi running everything, I think Schumer almost immediately will end the filibuster in the Senate, which means the minority then in the Senate is no longer able to stop their radical agenda. Once they do that, I think adding two states, adding the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico will be one of the first things on their agenda. And their reason is nakedly and crassly political. They believe that will give them 4 new Democratic senators.
Yes, which is all they need. That's like a permanent majority in our lifetime.
That is their plan. And also packing the Supreme Court. They've been very open about that they want to increase the number of justices on the court. And we saw in the first debate, Joe Biden refused to answer the question.
That's right.
Because his base is demanding the answer be yes. And that would destroy the court. And yet that's where the left is.
I must admit, though, I found it shocking when I learned that all it takes to admit a state is a 51-49 vote.
So on D.C., there is a constitutional argument because the Constitution specifies that there has to be a district for the federal government. So it depends how they draft it. There would almost surely be litigation over D.C. The way they've done it is very clever, which is they've still created a D.C. that's basically the Capitol building and a couple of other buildings, and they've made all the rest of D.C. a brand new state around it. That's how they're trying to get around constitutional prohibition. But that being said, as a general matter, admitting a new state, Puerto Rico, for example, it's clear it can be done by legislation.
What did Harry Reid end, if not the filibuster?
So Harry Reid ended the filibuster for judges and executive nominees. So on the nomination side, but not on the legislation side. So we still have the filibuster. If you want to pass a piece of legislation, it takes 60 votes. And right now, the Democrats use the filibuster all the time to stop good legislation.
I want to just touch on, in the couple of minutes remaining, Senator, you are a fighter against the tech company censorship that's increasing. I used an example earlier in the show about did the president take or not take hydroxychloroquine, which, by the way, I have openly stated many times I take every week, along with zinc every day. And Dr. Zelenko is one of the best-known doctors in the country to have used it on thousands of people. And now Twitter has shut down his account. This is a doctor on the front lines in New York. And they took down his Twitter account because he promotes hydroxychloroquine. This is how bad it is.
Well, big tech is shameless, and they're getting more and more egregious with their abuse of power. When it comes to medical science, listen, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to purport to try to diagnose or treat anybody. But on any question of science, what you want is a full and fair discussion. You want to hear all sides. And history has not been kind to those who've tried to silence dissenting views when it comes to science. If that were the case, we would still believe the earth was flat. If that was the case, we would still believe the sun revolves around the earth. I mean, the history of science has been a history of heretics challenging whatever the conventional wisdom is. And when it comes with dealing with a pandemic that just has struck the United States and the world from Wuhan, China, we need to have a vigorous discussion and an analysis of what's working and what isn't. And big tech doesn't care. They are monopolies. They are violating the law, and they are utterly brazen. You've got a handful of Silicon Valley billionaires who have declared themselves the rulers of what is allowed to be said, the arbiters of truth. And if you disagree with their politics, God help you, they will silence you.
Well, I hope other senators feel as you do, because you've been, along with one or two others, the only voices on this matter, which is the fundamental freedom of our country, speech. Congratulations on your book, Senator. One vote away. Let's stay in touch, and God bless you.